Welcome back to another episode of the Genuine Life Podcast, a lifestyle audio series for gentle souls that love to live life on their terms and unapologetically. I'm your host, Jennifer Nicole, and I am so excited to be here with you today as I chat about 5 things that I learned on my Princess Cruise. Now, go grab a snack, go get yourself a beverage or something to get yourself all cozy, get a blanket. It's time for us to catch up. Welcome back to episode 43. Hey friends, welcome to another episode of the Genuine Life Podcast. As mentioned before, I'm your host, Jennifer Nicole, and just a couple of disclaimers. I literally just broke my microphone stand, so if you are watching this on YouTube, this is why my mic is sticking out of a flower pot, because I like to talk with my hands, so I refuse to hold it. But we'll be back in action once Amazon drops off that package, okay? But anyway, I'm so happy to be here with you, and apologies for my slight delay. I know it's been a little while since we've connected, but I am showing up in a few places on social media, and I kind of needed to reel it all in, scale it in, figure out a plan. I felt like I've just been posting everywhere, and so now I'm really excited to not only have this podcast audio, but on video as well, so you can find me on YouTube. And if you are watching, this is my very first video episode, so I'm super excited about that, and thank you for being here. But I want to ask you, how are you doing? Okay, it's been a little while since we've connected, and I hope you're doing well. I hope you're thriving. I hope you're finding things, new things that you love. But today I'm going to be talking to you about 5 things that I learned or I took away from my Princess Cruise. So I took some notes, so I kind of stay on track, but I wanted to tell you, so you may not know this, but the cruise that I went on, I was a +1 to a full-time travel content creator there to help her create content. And, you know, of course, with me being laid off, I'm kind of trying to tap into this new space and figure out if this is something that I would be interested in pursuing full time. So I just thought it was really cool that I was able to go on this trip and learn what it took to make content, to figure out if this is something that I really enjoy doing, figure out how I want to show up on social media. So the whole thing was just a blessing. If you have not seen my vlog yet, that is posted. If you are new to my podcast or my channel, one of my mission statements is to show up authentically on social media, hence Genuine Life. And I am filming my podcast right now, filming this episode right now in my bedroom. And my dog is here and decided he wanted to go into the scratching thing. So you might hear it in the background. I'm going to see if I can edit it out. So But anyway, we were talking about my cruise and what a blessing it was for me to be able to go on it. And if you have not seen those vlog episodes yet, I will link them in the description for you to check them out. I had an amazing time. Really a time of pushing myself outside of my comfort zone, challenging myself to do things that made me uncomfortable, and I had an amazing time. And so we're going to talk about it. I do have some notes here. And you know, I like to jump right into things, okay? So, number 1, trust where you are is where you're supposed to be, okay? It's no secret, as I mentioned before, that I was laid off in September, and, you know, it really hit me hard. And there are days where I'm like, I am so glad I'm not working. And then there are days where I'm just like, oh my God, I'm not working, right? But I had to keep reminding myself throughout this entire trip that I have to trust the place, the space, and the time that I am in at this moment in my life, because at no point has anything that ever seemed like it hurt me or something that didn't feel good not pay off in the end. And all I kept thinking about was, wow, if I was working right now, I would not be able to go on this cruise. I would not even be able to say yes as quickly as I did. I wouldn't be able to fly. I wouldn't be able to take a week off, because I don't know if you all knew this, but I was a part of the early career team. So I worked with interns, candidates who were early in their professional careers. This is a very busy time for us. Unlike other industries, like industry candidates or candidates who've been working for a little while, director level, usually Q4 is pretty quiet because people are traveling. But when you're in the campus space, it's almost gearing up because kids are in school all year round. Okay, and so for me to be off was just an absolute miracle. And then I didn't have to pay anything at all. All I had to do was show up. And I feel like there is nothing more of a sign for me to go and live your life when things are aligning and you don't have to fight. There's nothing resisting you. Everything just kind of falls into place. That is usually my sign that I'm on the right path. And that just happened this entire trip. And so it was a good reminder for me and one for you to always trust, no matter what you're going through, that you're going to win in the end. You're never going to lose. Even if you don't get the outcome that you're looking for, you're always going to get a lesson, right? So if you approach everything like I'm not going to lose, I tell you, it's so liberating, y'all. I promise you. All right, number 2. Family is not always going to be blood. Now, I know you've heard this before. You have probably seen memes about it before, but I am someone who is like family over everything. I'm really big on loyalty. My family will always come first. But as I get older, I realize that sometimes our family is just as toxic as a stranger on the street. And just because they have the title of a family member does not always mean that they have your best interest at heart, you know? And I was so pleasantly, I don't even want to use the word surprised because I can tell her vibes were there. But let me fill y'all in on a little tea, okay? So I had been following Colby. She's a full-time content creator. I will tag her amazing socials below. But I had been following her for a while. I would say a good 8 or 9 years on social media, but we never met in person. You ever have like somebody you just feel like you've known them all your life? Like that's kind of what it was like. So anyway, she had posted in her close friends, she had posted in her close friends. So my ears immediately perked up because I'm like, she never posts anything. I always feel like close friends is like scandalous stuff. So I'm like, what is she about to post, you know? And when I opened it, she was putting a call out for a content creator to come with her on this trip, that her +1 was available and she needed someone else to come with her and help her create content. And so by this time, the story had been posted for like 22 hours. I just knew someone had already snatched up the opportunity. And would y'all believe that it wasn't? I DM'd her and I was just like, damn, I would have taken this spot had I known or had seen it earlier. And she said it was still available. So this is actually tip number, well, I don't want to call it a tip, but lesson number 2 bonus, okay? I was so quick to believe that the spot was already taken, that I had already started speaking negative over the situation. I had already claimed that the spot had been taken already. I just assumed. And it was in that immediate moment that I realized, like, no, you always have to walk into a room. You always have to claim what you want as if it's coming, as if it's already yours. Because even if someone else had already taken that spot, me expressing interest does not take away from me going on the trip, right? Because someone already had raised their hand, but they weren't able to get off of work. And so had I not sent the message, not expressed interest, she would have never known to offer that spot to me. And so I want you to really, this is the bonus tip, really remember whatever it is that you want, align yourself with it and just go, right? Because you don't know what could happen. And I actually tell this to a lot of clients that I work with resumes. I don't care if there are 800 people that apply to a position. I don't care if there's 5 people that apply to a position. Apply to it. You don't know what could come from that. I did not know Colby. I knew her on social media, but we all know that social media can be fake sometimes. And so I didn't know her. And you know, when I reached out and took that chance, I wasn't even thinking about whether or not we would get along, whether or not we could be in a room together for a week. I just felt like this trip, it needed me on it, okay? I'm a cruise connoisseur and I love creating content. And so, believe it or not, of course, as you all know, this spot was available. And Colby is now literally a Jones. okay? She's no longer Kobe Holiday. She's Kobe Jones, okay? Because when I tell y'all, first of all, everybody thought we knew each other already. We literally showed up to the port with the same outfit on, unplanned. We had multiple outfits because we had to do photo shoots. We had multiple outfits that matched without even planning them. We laughed at the same things. I cried with her. I shared things with her that I've never shared with people before. It was a time, but it would not have happened if I didn't, one, push myself outside of my comfort zone, two, take a chance and just ask. The worst she could have said was no, right? But now I no longer have had a trip of a lifetime under my belt, but now I have a new friend, someone that I can truly trust. And I know you're like, girl, please. But after you've roomed with somebody in a cabin on a cruise ship for over a week, y'all, your blood at that point, okay? So I want you to challenge yourself as you're heading into the end of Q4, a new year. Really start to think about ways that you can extend your reach. And I'm not talking about in an uncomfortable way where you're putting yourself in situations where you're not comfortable, but really reach out to that person that's been reaching out to you and grab that coffee. Or maybe have lunch with somebody different at work this week. Or, go ahead and take yourself out on a solo dinner date. There are so many things that you can do that's going to open the door for you to network. And that's what I took away from this, was because y'all, when I tell you I'm okay being by myself. And we both were kind of like panicking when we found out we were going to be in a room together. That was our first time meeting. But it really all worked out, and I want to pass that off to you as well. Challenge yourself at the end, for this month and going into the new year. Okay. All right. Number 3. I want you to dance like nobody's watching, and even if they are, give them a show. Okay. I'm not much of a dancer, never have been. I can give you a really good 2-step. Especially if I have a drink in my hand, I will give you a 2-step, okay? But I'm not a dancer. I have 2 left feet. I usually cannot catch the beat. I'm off rhythm. I'm horrible, okay? Think Carlton from Fresh Prince. And so I mentioned before that we were on this trip, Colby and I, to capture content. And a part of that was a few parties that the ship had, where, it wasn't just going to be enough to film it. We had to be in it. So she had asked me if I was comfortable going out on the dance floor so that she can get a few shots. And so I said no. And I said it very quickly. I said, no, I don't want to do that. And she said, okay. She didn't push it or anything. And I think I went to go grab a drink or whatever. And I could just hear it in my head. Girl, get out on that dance floor. Just go. See, one of the things I love about cruising is very rarely do you see the same person multiple times. Now, I did on this ship, which was kind of cool, but literally if you go to dinner one day, you probably won't see the people that were sitting next to you for the rest of the ship, the rest of the cruise. And so that's what I kept saying to myself, girl, first of all, nobody is a perfect dancer. If we were all little Chris Browns, this wouldn't even be an issue. Nobody can really dance. I mean, it's very few that can cut up on the dance floor. And I said, that's not stopping anybody out there on the dance floor. I mean, they were cutting up, y'all. And I'm talking about older people on this cruise that had walkers, canes, babies dancing with their dad. I mean, just a wide range of people, but that were so different. But what was the same was that in that moment, they were present, they were having a blast, and they didn't care what anybody else thought about it. And it actually put more of a reflection on me, worried about somebody watching me. Nobody cares. And if they do care, they're probably trying to muster up the courage to go do the same thing, right? I think we all forget that we're human at the end of the day. There's always going to be feelings of oh my gosh, are they watching me? But I challenge you to tap back into that childlike fearlessness. Just get out there. Just dance. And if it's not dancing, then go write the book. Go start the podcast. Start the YouTube channel. It's all the same. It's different, but it's all the same. And trust me, you're gonna have folks watching. I'm sure some people are talking about me. Like, you're 40 years old and you just started a YouTube channel and did. I sure did. Because what's not gonna be funny is when them checks start rolling in, or when people are really coming to my page. You gotta be the Lulu in your life. And sometimes that requires you to push yourself outside of your comfort zone. And guess what? You're always gonna win in the end, even if it's a lesson that you've learned. You didn't lose anything. I didn't lose anything jumping out on that dance floor, and we got some great content, but it also set me up for the rest of the trip. I had nothing to be afraid of. That was one of my fears, dancing in public like that. Please, never. But I did it. So that's what I want you to think about too. Dance like nobody's watching, because half the time they're not watching. If they are, they're probably admiring you because they wish they could do the same thing. But not one person is ever going to be on their deathbed and bring that up. Gosh, I wish I hadn't had a good time and danced on that cruise. Or, gosh, I wish I had never wrote that book. No. No one. So go out and do it. And don't be afraid. Okay? How y'all doing? You good? I'm just checking because, you know. This is a good one. I want you to stop overthinking things and just do it. So this kind of ties in with lesson number 3. But, you know, I mentioned before that I'm very interested in creating content. I actually love it. And even if nothing pans out from it, I've always been a storyteller. I love telling stories. I love glamorizing my life. I love taking the ordinary and making it feel extraordinary. There's something very special to me about taking you along to Target or taking you along to my nail appointment. I realize that it's not for everybody, but for me, it's no different than journaling. It's no different than being a director of a movie. For me, you know, I just love the freedom that comes with creating content. I love being able to get creative with whatever I feel like telling that day. But I've always felt like I needed a very expensive camera to do that. I'm also just a gadget girl. Any new gadget that's out, I want it. So yeah, that's a whole nother story. But I've always felt like I needed the latest gear in order for it to come out the best. You know, I just don't spare any expense when it comes to sound and quality and all that stuff. And that's just with anything. But y'all, when I went on this cruise, and I'm not going to name any names because I'm not, you know, this is not like a negative thing at all. This is actually a positive thing. And I want you to take what I'm about to say to motivate you to do whatever it is that you are waiting on doing. Whatever tool you have at your dispense is the tool that you need to use. There were a few content creators on this trip that were invited by Princess to come out and capture content. And I would say about half of them used their iPhone to create content, okay, that they were getting paid for. Now some had, you know, like the photographers of the group, people whose content was centered mostly around photography. Of course, they had like your cameras, like your big body cameras. But when I tell you half of the content creators, everything that's posted in their stories, some of them, their reels, was done with their phone. And I don't know what it is about that for me. But I said, now I've been putting off stuff because I felt like I needed something fancy, or I felt like I needed something expensive in order to get this quality. And that was not it. All I had to do was adjust some things in my camera, position the camera properly, and start using natural light. I'm telling you, it looked like I had a Nikon, okay? So I want you to use whatever it is that you have at your disposal. If you've been putting off writing a book because you think you need a new laptop, please grab a pen and paper and write it, okay? You have AI now. Tell that thing to type out the outline for you. And I also want you to realize that you're in no race. You're not competing with anyone but yourself. And you're the only one holding you back from anything. I'm telling you, when I saw this, I said, Jennifer, if you don't get back home and get to creating, just create. Because if it's in you, it's in you. If you're a creator, you're going to create regardless. You're going to create with your iPhone. You're going to create with a Sony. You're going to create with a Nikon, a Canon. It's the passion that's going to drive you. If you're a writer, you're going to write. You're going to write with a pen and paper. You're going to write with a laptop, a typewriter. You're going to write, right? And so, yeah, I want you to use whatever you have to get until you can get exactly what you want, because your girl still wants a nice camera, okay? Because the pictures that I took were just chef's kiss. But I'm also going to continue to use the stuff that I have right in my hand. And that's what I want you to do as well, okay? We don't need to spend thousands of dollars. And my last thing is I want you to find joy in everything. I don't care how cliche, I don't care how simple it is. Glamorize your life, okay? There was a post where, like, it happens every year. Spotify releases everybody's, like, wrapped up numbers. You know, what music you listen to, who your top artists were. And without failure, every year, there's somebody who's like, here we go. You know, they have that little sarcastic post or the meme, nobody cares about your songs. And I'm here to tell you that I care. Because, number one, that's how I figure out what artists I need to listen to. I've discovered some new genres and new artists through watching what other people post. But if that makes somebody happy, why do you care? Why do you care? Why do you care if I love sitting outside in a rocking chair to watch the sunrise and sunset? And guess what? Why would you even care if I decide to document it and share it? And that's one thing I've had to learn with social media to a certain extent. That if I posted 50 sunsets because I wanted to, that's my business. But at the same time, on the end of that, there could be someone who doesn't get a chance to see the sunset that day. Maybe they're in a room depressed or sad and they just happen to log in and see that sunset that day, and it gives them something to help them boost their, you know, encourage them. Or, you know, if people want to share, I love the Spotify thing. I'm going to share it every year. Whether people want to see it or not, you can skip through. But I think we've gotten to a point where, like, doing certain things can be labeled as corny, or like, why are you doing that? Why are you so excited about that? And it's like, you should be. We get one life to do everything. And if that means you get excited about the chicken being cooked perfectly at Popeyes, get excited about it. I got excited about an ice cream cone at Chick-fil-A and posted it in my stories. And can I tell y'all, I got so many likes on that post because sometimes people just want to see the ordinary, you know, and they want to see that you two go and do things even on your lowest days. And I might even say you have to do this for the gram. I'll be very clear about that as well. You can just take pictures and videos and keep it for yourself if you want to. I'm someone who likes to look back at things and remember moments, and so I'm very quick to pull my phone out, which can get really annoying to people sometimes, but I don't care, because when I'm feeling bad or low, I just pull up my phone and I can pull up a video of my dad making me laugh, you know, or just anything. There's so many things. And I just want you to glamorize your life. Enjoy that trip to Target. If that's what you do, that's what you do. You know, I love tumbler cups. They make me happy. I don't know why. But I'm going to keep buying them until I'm done. Well, I'm not going to keep buying them. I'm kind of done. But maybe not. I don't know. The point of my story is I want you to live. And I don't care what that looks like to anybody else. I don't care how simple something feels. If it makes you feel good and makes you happy, then glamorize it. All of it. Okay? Okay. I feel good about this podcast. I know it was a little jumbled in the beginning, but we're going to get it together. We're going to get a new microphone stand, all of that, okay? But that will wrap it up for today's episode. And just a few messages that I wrote down that I do not want to forget about. A couple of things, actually. This is a special time in the YouTube verse. This is called Vlogmas. And I am going to include all of this in my Vlogmas because I mentioned in my very first Vlogmas vlog that I'm not really 100% in the Christmas spirit. I'm not gonna say I'm not in it, but I don't have any Christmas decor. So I'm gonna stick to what Vlogmas is, and that's daily vlogging, because I really enjoy doing this. And then I'll start incorporating more Christmassy stuff as the time goes on. But I would love for you to join me over on YouTube here if you're watching, and if you're listening, join me over on YouTube. I'd love to have you, and we can just vlog together. I also have started a book club. It's something I've been wanting to start for a really long time, and I just didn't want to, because I'm like, who's gonna read books with me? Because I'm not gonna lie to y'all, I'm kinda being selfish about it. Like, these are all books that are either New York Times bestsellers, suspense, true crime, psychological thrillers, because that's like my thing, mysteries. I have a ton of those kinds of books. Self-help, productivity books, like, I'm looking around now, a ton, okay, that I have never read. I'm looking now, it's like at least 8 shelves of books that I have never read. And so the book club is really me reading the books on my bookshelf and asking you to join along with me. So it is free. You're more than welcome to join. I will link that as well in the description box. But other than that, that is it. And I will see you right back here next week. I'm super excited. You can catch me again on YouTube or audio, anywhere where you listen to your favorite podcast. And I hope you have a fantastic week. I want you to own every room that you walk in. I want you to also know that you are more than enough. And until we meet again, I will see you right back here next Sunday for another podcast episode. Be great.